As we said, Charlie Cream has them with a win tonight in the field. Right now, they are considered the first four out. So this is an important game against an Ole Miss team who has already beaten Texas A&M once this season.
It's going to be important. I'm keeping an eye on the battle of the boards, rebounding. Who is going to control the glass?
So Aaliyah Patty and Shakira Austin to tip. Texas A&M with the ball first in their gray uniforms tonight.
The thing Ole Miss is going to have to do is they're going to have to take away that three-point shot. They're going to have to make Ole Miss or Texas A&M drivers, and the rotation has to be there.
Well, there's a three-point shot coming from Kayla Wells, and it is short. As to your point, Texas A&M is second in the nation in three-point percentage. A little bit different change for Ole Miss's starting lineup, and you see the change right there. Number 15, that's Angel Baker. She's getting the start tonight. Bucket by Madison Scott. Texas A&M, they have tinkered with different lineups, 11 different starting lineups this year. This one has brought them success over their last few games.
The consistency. And you also, veteran players, and that's the player right there. Aaliyah Patty has got to get production in the paint for Texas A&M.
Lashonda Monk in the corner for Ole Miss.
Well, in Texas A&M, they'll play a little matchup zone that looks like and can morph into a man-to-man. They really want to try to keep Ole Miss off balance.
Monk looking for any kind of space, and that's going to be a foul on Aaliyah Patty. Gary Blair, 852 career wins. He became the all-time winningest basketball coach at Texas A&M back in December, men's or women's. His career has been legendary, and as we said, this will be his final season.
When you look at his accomplishments in coaching in general, Madison Scott is off to a great start for Ole Miss, but Gary Blair, 2 Final Four appearances. He's won a national championship, been to the Elite Eight 4 times. He's in uncharted waters this season, but I expect he's going to get this team back in the NCAA tournament.
Destiny Pitts for 3 to get Texas A&M on the board. So far, Ole Miss's all their points have come from Madison Scott, number 24 in white. Getting the ball to Shakira Austin. Trying to give her room to work, just short on the layup. Kick back out. Monk, the pull-up, yes!
Moving the basketball has been so key for Ole Miss. They share the ball. This group of women, they have fun. And you know what? After that losing streak they went on, they talked about, look, we're going to get back to what we do well, playing team basketball, specifically on the defensive end, and then that carries over to the offense.
Bucket by Angel Baker. Her 7th start this season. And there's a foul called in the paint. Yolette McPhee-McEwen is in her 4th season, and look at this. I mean, the rebuilding project, we knew it was going to be extensive. She knew it when she took over the Ole Miss program. Comparing first 3 seasons to this season, wow.
Well, and after the first 3 seasons, I had a conversation with Coach Yo, and she was concerned. She was like, okay, it's 3 seasons, and yeah, we're showing improvement, but the numbers did not present itself as far as wins and losses. Going into this last season, she's really put an emphasis on having an identity with what she did last year, and that was on the defensive side, and then having number 0, Shakira Austin, come in, and now how she's mixed in these last 2 seasons has been key for Ole Miss.
Now, Shakira Austin transferred in from Maryland. She was a WBCA honorable mention All-American last season. First team All-SEC. Aaliyah Patty rolls it in.
Like I told you, I thought Aaliyah Patty, it's a great matchup with her and Shakira Austin. She's got to provide an interior scoring option. That'll open up the guards for Texas A&M.
Kayla Wells driving in, draws the foul on Lashonda Monk. You mentioned this Ole Miss defense and how that's been their identity. You can't go anywhere in this program. We were in the practice facility yesterday. We defend. Those words are everywhere. Coach Yo was wearing a T-shirt at practice. They had different coaches wearing those T-shirts today. It's on the wall in the practice gym.
Yeah, and just in the last couple of days and visiting with her, one of the things you got to commend Coach Yo with, she went into her team after the loss to Mississippi State. She said, "My bad." She said, "I got caught up in, first, they just had the goal if they wanted to be 8-8 in the conference. They started to experience success. Then they wanted a little bit more. Then they started talking about championships, and she said, wait a minute. I got to go back to you've got to take it one step at a time. You can't skip steps. And when a coach can take the accountability, it allows the players to do the same thing."
Yeah, that open two-way street, if you will, between the players and the coach, that's got to be valuable, especially this time of year.
Oh, absolutely. When you're trying to make a stretch, make a run toward the end of the regular season, then, that was all the way in and almost out. And going into the tournament, you want to have your team in the right mindset.
Tough rebound by Madison Scott. Gives Ole Miss a second chance. Ole Miss is out-rebounding Texas A&M 8-1. And that rebound is going to get Shakira Austin to the free throw line.
Courtney, you were talking about getting on the glass. Texas A&M has got to make a better effort because right now you got Shakira Austin, you have Madison Scott going to the glass, and now Ole Miss brings in Ayanla Kitchens. It's going to be a big presence to battle with Roby down low.
Well, we've already seen Shakira Austin grab three rebounds, and that puts her over 1,000 rebounds for her career. She's now one of 7 active players with over 1,500 points and over 1,000 boards.
I got to believe Mike Tebow is looking long and hard at who does he take in that first pick. Shakira Austin, remember, she was in the Maryland area when she first went to Maryland before she transferred to Ole Miss. So people in that Maryland area, they know who she is. You don't think that woman would sell some tickets? And she's a good basketball player, and I think after Washington, they don't have Emma Mieseman. You need a big 4. That's what you get from Shakira Austin.
Yeah, and she's taking her game to another level, too, here at Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss up 12-5. As we mentioned, Gary Blair, a national championship winning head coach. More on his legacy as an Aggie when we come back.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids, the underdogs. It means constantly improving, striving, hungering. It's no excuses, no days off, or no glory. It's drive.
SEC Network Women's Basketball is presented by Regions, the official bank of the SEC. Well, a season Gary Blair will never forget. In 2011, he took this Texas A&M crew to a national championship. And yeah, he's retiring at the end of the year, but his name is not leaving Reed Arena anytime soon.
Coach, you probably wondered when I rattled off the list of people Friday at the softball game, why are all these people coming to my house at 2:30 on a Monday? What's the meeting about? We have a special presentation for you, Coach, to honor your legendary career.
I just appreciate everything that Texas A&M my staffs over the years, the players over the years, and the fans that have helped make me who I am today.
That's right. The court inside Reed Arena will now be known as Gary Blair Court. They are set to unveil that a week from today when Coach Blair coaches his final regular season home game in College Station.
And I think well deserving. And, you know, when you look at the women's basketball coaches that have their names on a court, you've got Kay Yao, Pat Summitt, mentioned Doug Bruno did till they changed facilities, and Gary Blair was the first one to say, well, they need to put Doug Bruno's name on the new court as well. He's always looking at taking care of everybody else in women's basketball, but when you look at 852 career wins and what he's done in his career, and the influence that he has had on so many other people as well, well deserved.
And you can see why this team really wants to get him back in the NCAA tournament. This is their resume right now. They're 42 in the net. They're trying to get as many wins in SEC play as they can to pad that, because right now Charlie Cream has them in the first 4 out, but a win tonight would put them in the field, at least for now.
I asked Kayla Wells, I said, do you guys think about that? And she said, he tells us all the time not to, but they love their coach and they want to allow him in his last season at Texas A&M get in the NCAA tournament.
So we've been breaking down the numbers and looking at the number of wins in SEC play. So if you have 8 SEC wins, 6 of 9 teams have made the tournament. Just looking at 6 wins right now, because Texas A&M has 4 SEC wins. If they were to get to 6 SEC wins, only 1 of 11 teams who have 6 SEC wins have ever made the tournament.
And that team was Arkansas. They were 6-10, coached by Jimmy Dykes.
Yeah, 2014-15.
Right, that got into the tournament. And when you look at what Texas A&M's, their net is, I think that helps, and their strength of schedule.
Yeah, and the question remains, too, can the SEC get 10 teams into the NCAA tournament? I was really crunching the numbers today at Shoot-Around, guys. If you look at the strength of the league, their average net is 42. It's the best of the Power Fives. That's why Texas A&M is in this conversation, because of how top to bottom the league has been so impressive this year.
Yeah, the committee's got to take a look at the strength of the SEC.
Offensive foul on Ole Miss. Carolyn, looking at this A&M team, do they deserve to be in the tournament?
On given nights, yes.
Yeah.
If they would just, their good nights stay consistent. And the thing that they've got to bring, number 1 is defense. Number 2, rebounding. And then number 3, we looked at assists. They are +6 in their wins in SEC games. So when they share the ball and they get everybody involved, they're a very dangerous team.
Yeah, and you see more scorers besides just the top 2. Shakira Austin will take a seat with 2 fouls for Ole Miss. Remember, she's their leading scorer and leading rebounder. That should be a big advantage for A&M.
I think that's crucial. When you have Shakira Austin still with 4 minutes left to go in the first quarter, and she's a player that attracts 2, and that opens up everybody else. Now, Texas A&M, I would look and see if they could go straight man-to-man. I think that they could defend as long and force Ole Miss to take outside shots, but then they got to battle on the glass.
This is Sahara Jones at the free throw line for A&M. Gets them both. Ole Miss has missed its last 4 shots. Rebound by Jones.
And Ole Miss needs to be patient with Shakira Austin out of the game. They don't have to take contested shots. They need to get good shots or do this right here, score in transition.
So Lashonda Monk. Madison Scott off the window. Madison Scott already with 8 points. She averages 10. Q Hoppy lost the basketball. Kicks to the corner. Snuda Collins.
the pressure of Ole Miss. Coach O has got to like what she's seeing from her team defensively. They've really had Texas A&M sped up.
Forced A&M into a couple of turnovers already, and there's going to be an offensive foul on Texas A&M as Ianla Kitchens comes in the game and takes the charge for the Rebels.
With Shakira Austin out of the game, the best offense for Ole Miss is getting it and running in transition before Texas A&M can get that defense set.
Quadasha Hoppy was called for the foul. Ole Miss has Andasia Puckett down low, number 40 in white. Going to their bench with Shakira Austin in foul trouble.
There's been a lot called on of Madison Scott. They started this quarter going to her. They ran this last play to her as well. She just got to be able to finish in the paint.
Sydney Roby, good move over Puckett.
That was one of the things Gary Blair talked about was post-production. He was pleased with the offense of his guards, but he knows that his team would be so much better with the consistent play. Now, for Sydney Roby, she's got to continue to do that, and she's got to stay out of foul trouble.
Roby, number 44 in the gray jersey for Texas A&M. Offensive foul on Puckett on the screen.
The way that post players put themselves in a position to score, you got to do your work early. If you can get 2 feet in the paint, your probability of percentage should be pretty high when you can post up like that and get that 2.
So now Mackenzie Green in the ballgame for Texas A&M. She's their point guard off the bench. She's got Monk all over her. And Sahara Jones throws the basketball away. That's the 4th turnover by the Aggies.
Well, what Jones was trying to do is throw it directly to Sydney Roby. You don't throw it to the post player posting up. You throw it to the corner of the backboard. Then she can go get it and she can get the finish.
It's been over 2 minutes since Ole Miss has scored. Kick out to Monk. The spin to the elbow. That was pretty.
Monk is that competitor. She has really needed to get going for Ole Miss. She had a tough going of it in Ole Miss's game against South Carolina and really hadn't bounced back. So it's good to see her get her offense going.
And she was their leading scorer in the first meeting against Texas A&M with 16 points. Monk, the transfer from ECU, where she was a 2-time American Defensive Player of the Year. A&M's going to keep this. You know, we talked about Kayla Wells, their leading scorer. She hasn't scored yet, taken 2 shots.
I was just thinking in that last possession, Kayla Wells needs to get a touch. And ask how she had, since the time that Steffi talked about where she had to come off the bench and their offensive production had gone up, and asking Coach Blair, they said they were running more stuff for her. They need to get back to doing that. Give her a touch or 2 in the next couple of possessions.
And I see over 19 points in those last 4 games since not being in the starting lineup against Mississippi State.
Well, no Miss has weathered the storm with Shakira Austin going out with those 2 fouls.
Puckett, top of the key. Donetta Johnson with the rebound. They'll try Snudda Collins.
Looking at Coach Yo, that wasn't the shot she wanted from Puckett at the top of the key.
Now Puckett is 0 for 1 on the season from 3.
Look, you don't need to try things that are brand new. You got to stick with what's working.
Mackenzie Green looking to create at the elbow. Swish! Mimi Reed throws up a shot, but Texas A&M will get the last bucket before the quarter ends. Shakira Austin, 2 fouls early in this ball game in Oxford. Tennessee on Sunday at 1 Eastern, on ABC. It's going to be a really big game, especially for South Carolina, who's trying to keep that resume spotless and stay at the top.
Well, they're trying to get another regular season SEC championship, be the top overall #1 seed for the tournament, and stay there for the NCAA tournament as well.
Ole Miss has come out and put the pressure on Texas A&M. The problem for the Rebels now is that Shakira Austin picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter.
But they're finding ways to score. Netta Johnson scoring. Madison Scott, she's got 8 points already for Ole Miss.
4 seconds, Sydney Roby. Shot rims out. And Madison Scott went for the pass instead of the shot, looking for Puckett. Four turnovers by the Rebels. Texas A&M does have depth in the post, so they rotate in another new face as Jada Malone, the freshman out of Spring, Texas, checks in, number 13 in gray.
Well, with Madison Scott on the floor for Ole Miss, it's almost like they have 4 guards on the floor with her athleticism. So that's what I expect Texas A&M to do. Try to post up. Get paint points. You don't have to live and die with the perimeter shots as well. If they can take care of the ball, get in the paint, get 2s, or get to the free throw line.
So far with Shakira Austin on the bench, it hasn't been an advantage either way. Both teams have scored 6 points since then. Fresh 20 for the Rebels.
And that's Madison Scott working the glass, rebounding wise. She may not pull it down, but tipping it out, saving Ole Miss another possession.
8 seconds. Danetta Johnson in trouble. Puckett in more trouble. Malone all over her. Gets free and gets the bucket.
How many times do you see that the shot clock is running down and a player just keeps their composure, finds it, eyes it up, and knocks it down?
She's a super senior, the transfer from Cincinnati. Then Malone with the response.
As the shot clock is running down, Puckett just keeps her composure. She doesn't panic. She just, and 2, not just settling for that initial jumper, but getting the defense down, getting a closer shot, and then Texas A&M on the other end as well. Just battling the aggressive play to the rim, not settling for just outside jumpers.
Mimi Reed at the free throw line in her 20th season with the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm just kidding.
Look, we were at practice yesterday, it was at practice yesterday. Mimi Reed was standing in front of the desk where we're sitting, and whatever you thought Coach Yo was thinking was coming out of Mimi Reed's mouth.
Yeah.
Like, she knows how her head coach thinks.
Yeah. The fired up high five from Coach Yo.
I was talking to Mimi Reed about, did she take on the personality of Coach Yo? And she said, Coach Yo's more like a pit bull. And she said, I'm more like the German Shepherd.
Ooh.
I was like, okay, those are 2 dogs I'm not going to mess with.
There's a dog sitting across from us that's not going to mess with it either. There's a
Not-
little Maltese
Not
in the
with
stands.
not with a pit bull or a German Shepherd, no ma'am.
Pitts was looking for Jada Malone, threw it away to Kitchens. Angel Baker baseline. Passing's getting a little sloppy on both sides.
A&M has 7 turnovers. That was the 5th turnover for Ole Miss. You know what I'm watching, though? Kayla Wells, she's getting back in transition. When Texas A&M shoots the basketball, nobody nobody is going to the offensive glass. They're more worried about the transition defense.
No, they have no offensive rebounds. And Kayla Wells has no points.
Now watching Snudda shoot the basketball when she gets open, and she's just a sophomore, but getting more and more confident, coming in and ready to shoot the basketball.
An under-recruited player, Coach Yo just happened to stumble upon her and has been a great addition to this program.
But she knows that she is a shooter. When the ball comes to her, she knows her job. Find it, line it up. She gets 2 feet under her, and she knocks it down.
Mississippi native as well from Brookhaven. Snudda just picked up her first foul. Kayla Wells, the step around for 2, still looking for her first points. Wow, Monk can get the ball up the floor really quickly.
She pushes it, eyes up, aggressive, and a willing pass to get the ball down the floor.
She'll take that lane too, all day. We'll step aside. Ole Miss has scored 6 straight points. They're up 26-14.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids, the underdogs. It means constantly improving, striving, hungering. It's no excuses, no days off, or no glory. It's drive.
Coming up at halftime, Andrea Carter, Andy Landers in the studio. We'll talk Gators making a statement, LSU on the road, and Lady Vols upset, as well as first half analysis. Coach, what stands out?
You know, when Ole Miss is playing without Shakira Austin because of the 2 fouls and winning the way they are winning, that's impressive.
Yeah, what else is impressive is how Carolyn and Courtney deal with Steffi, guys.
Oh, Drea getting heated all the way from Charlotte. Look, you know, we were talking about, Coach said how well they're playing. Different players are stepping up for Ole Miss. We just saw Snudda Collins come in the game. She hit a big shot, and it's so interesting, Steffi, to watch her shoot the basketball, because I don't think anybody else shoots it like this.
No, Snudda Collins has one of the most unorthodox releases for a reason. She broke her wrist in 7th grade, didn't take a cast, broke it again in 8th grade. Okay, so she didn't necessarily have it fixed. She can't put her wrist further back than straight. Okay, so that's her release point. When you watch me release back in my prime, this is how far my wrist can go back. Snudda Collins' wrist can't go that far back. So the fact that she can get a 3 off is amazing, guys.
Yeah, look at the photo of her wrist. That wrist bone is sticking out, and you called her over after practice because you wanted to ask her about it.
Well, and you look at how her arm is straight up. That's not just, that is as far back as her hand will flex back. So when she shoots the basketball, it is more of a sling from the elbow and then the wrist. Instead of most shooters, you have the elbow parallel with the knee, you go up, and then cock your wrist back and then forward, Suna Collins' wrist doesn't go back, so it's more of a sling from her elbow.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to hear how she had to learn to shoot the basketball again, but she does it well enough to get a D1 scholarship and play at Ole Miss.
And she said that she had really a private workout for Coach Yo. She wasn't really highly recruited. And Coach Yo saw her shoot the ball. She didn't care how unorthodox it was. The ball went through the rim. She said she offered her a scholarship on the spot.
Snudda's leading their team in three-pointers made. She's 30 on the season. Foul called against Snudda Collins. That's her second. Again, if you're just joining us, Ole Miss without Shakira Austin, she picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. So far, Ole Miss has outscored Texas A&M 14-8 with Shakira Austin on the bench. Do you leave her there for the rest of the second quarter?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that Andy Landers talked about, it was impressive in how Ole Miss is able to win without Shakira Austin on the floor. And this may happen in the SEC tournament. So her teammates are really building confidence that they can play if Shakira Austin is not out on the court with them.
Jaya Harris-Smith pulls it back for Ole Miss. 10 seconds now on the shot clock. Trying to work off the screen by Puckett. 6 seconds. Angel Baker with the basketball. They get a shot off just in time by Caitlin McGee. And guess what? Another offensive rebound. That's the 8th offensive board for the Rebels.
Look, when you're a team that doesn't shoot it exceptionally well from the perimeter, you get those shots right there, mid-range, and you also get on the glass. Good things can happen for you.
Lashonda Monk showing off her mid-range game today. 8 points, 4 of 6 from the field. And Aaliyah Patty fouled down low by Puckett.
Look, Monk already has 8 points in this game. Since the South Carolina game, she's only reached double figures 1 time. And Ole Miss really needed her to get going offensively.
You know, we were talking about the offensive boards for Ole Miss and how they've definitely dominating in that category, 8-1 over Texas A&M, but rebounding in general has been key for both of these teams when it comes to wins. Texas A&M, they are 14-1 when out rebounding the opponent. Ole Miss is 13-2.
And look at the differential. When Texas A&M is winning, they're +8. When Ole Miss wins games, they're plus almost 8 rebounds a game. The glass in the SEC, it's not just these two teams. To be able to win and compete in the SEC, you got to rebound the basketball.
Offensive foul on the Rebels. It's on Angel Baker.
You know, the adjustments that I'm looking forward to, Courtney, in the second half is, in the second half, Texas A&M will be in front of Gary Blair's bench. So he'll be able to do more of directing traffic offensively to get the shots that he wants.
Yeah, guys, what also has been impressive, too, 12 made field goals, and that's something you guys talked about at the top, but a difference so far for Ole Miss, too.
Well, their defense leads to this right here, and then when they're on the floor offensively, they share the ball, and they pull for each other. That carries over from how they play in practice.
And that shot short from Jaya Harris-Smith. And they're going to get the foul on Harris-Smith, her first. Kayla Wells at the free throw line, still looking for her first points tonight. This is Texas A&M's leading scorer. She averages 17 points a game.
It's been a tough night for Texas A&M. When you look at what they're shooting from the floor, 26% in this first half.
She'll get 1 of 2 for her first point.
As she's running, it looks like Kayla Wells is limping a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Maybe more so on the going defensively as opposed to offensively.
They'll swing it to her. And a charging foul called on Wells.
The defense of Ole Miss has been so impressive. Coach O said he was going to have to defend ball screens. They did exactly that. The rotation was there. And so now Kayla Wells has to go to the bench with her 2 fouls. Caitlin McGee did a nice job defending that penetration in the paint.
And so Wells will come out. Jordan Nixon will check back in. Kayla Wells to the bench. 0 for 5 from the field, 1 point. Ole Miss has Shakira Austin in foul trouble. Haven't seen her since the first quarter. And Lashonda Monk just got herself to the free throw line.
And Lashonda Monk has just done a nice job of finding her mid-range, coming off the ball screen. The defense is late getting there, and she saw that Nixon was late. So get right on into your shot and draw the foul.
She heads to the line as a 76% free throw shooter. This is their 10th game in a row that she has started. And you see why, the pace she brings, the offense she brings.
Oh, and Coach Yo loves how competitive she is. We talked about how Snutta Collins got offered on the spot. Well, when Lashonda Monk decided to transfer, she had a conversation with Coach Yo, and she said it didn't take long for her to make the decision she wanted to come and play here at Ole Miss.
After 4 seasons at East Carolina.
Look, this was AAC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
Twice.
2 times. And I asked Monk, why did you want to come to Ole Miss? And she said, because Coach Yo was all about defense, and that's what she loved. Most players want to come where they can get their shine, they can get their shot on. Not Monk. It was all about the defense.
And she's got over 400 steals in her career. That's top 20 in the NCAA. That's the second time Puckett has taken the 3 from the top of the key.
That was a long 2. It was inside the 3, but still, I'm not sure that's the shot Coach Yo's looking for.
A&M looking to go inside once again. Sydney Roby had luck, but then travels. The pressure from Ole Miss's defense.
It is, but what A&M is trying to do is get the ball to Roby down low, but the thing that they've got to do is they've got to get the ball and then her duck-in timing of when the passer gets the basketball. Like when they get that time better, where Roby let her really bury her defender in the paint and then get the ball to her. Not just because she's in the middle, but make sure she's got great position.
So I believe Coach Yo is asking about that last play. And so the officials, they will not go to the monitor. Denise Brooks went over and said something to Coach Yo, and Coach Yo agreed. Said, let's go.
I think it was just a basketball play. She saw it live. There was nothing excessive because there was a contact. And Denise Brooks is backing Gary Blair up off the floor. He's like, we're going to need to have this conversation, but you need to be off the court.
Short shot by Madison Scott. This has been Ole Miss's ball game right from the start. Texas A&M has only scored 5 points here in the second quarter. They've got Kayla Wells, their leading scorer, on the bench with 2 fouls.
Ole Miss, if they can get this into single digits to go in the locker room, they can regroup.
Ooh, Mimi Reed, her 7th three-pointer of the season.
But Mimi Reed was hitting shots yesterday in practice, and Coach Yo's like, that's what I'm talking about. Just kept gassing her up, and that confidence is carried over to today.
Look at Mackenzie Green taking it to the rack. Under a minute to go in the half. Corner! Snuddum! Largest lead for the Rebels.
A&M needs a bucket right here.
Aaliyah Patty will try to get them one. Can't bank it in.
Everybody else retreated. Sydney Roby was the only Aggie inside battling on the glass.
Yeah, Texas A&M with only 1 offensive rebound tonight. Madison Scott, too much on the pass to Danetta Johnson, and it'll give Texas A&M 5.9 seconds. They will sub Kayla Wells back in, looking for her offense, I would assume.
They're going to need that. They need some kind of positive mojo going into the locker room.
Well, she stood up, got on the court, and then went back to the bench, so Wells is not in the game. Mackenzie Green with the basketball. Madison Scott, no way.
9% in that first half.
Yeah, and that block by Madison Scott, that was how they ended the half. Talk about a statement going into the locker room. Shakira Austin picked up 2 fouls, so we only saw her for 6 minutes in that game. But it was Monk and Scott offensively for this Ole Miss team that was really carrying them. They combined for 17 points.
You know what that does? It builds confidence. So if Shakira Austin, the SEC tournament, gets into some foul trouble, their team is demonstrating to themselves, we can play with our superstar on the bench.
And Shakira Austin back in the game and gets the ball immediately. That's what she can do.
Such a versatile post player. She can be dominant on the block. She can face up and shoot it, and she can take it off the bounce. That's a good thing Coach Yo did, going right to her from the beginning. But then she picks up right there. That's not smart.
Yeah, that's her 3rd foul. Steffi, you were able to catch up with Gary Blair?
Yeah, Courtney, I asked him, offense or defense, what was the first thing you addressed? He said both, obviously. Not happy with his team. He was very blunt with me, guys. He said, this team has to decide how we want the rest of the season to go. He was frustrated with them. He said, we challenged them on rebounding. Ole Miss has only 2 points in fast break or in transition. He was mystified why his team was running back without trying to attempt rebounds. So that was an area of concern for him. But also, he said they're trying to run the perfect play that it ends up that they're not running a play at all. So can they execute in the half court? That'll remain to be seen. But a frustrated Gary Blair, as you can imagine.
Well, and I think that what Texas A&M needs to do is play the game instead of running plays. Trying to be too structured, of getting it in the perfect area. Read and take what the defense gives you.
Yeah, to your point, Steffi, when he talks about getting back in transition and not going to the boards, they only had 1 offensive rebound in the first half. And Lashonda Monk is down holding her face for Ole Miss.
Now the bench honors supporting for Sydney Roby of Texas A&M. It's her first personal foul and first team foul of the season.
Okay, we're reviewing for a possible upgrade on the foul.
And so they're going to take a look and see if there's anything extra here. They called the foul on Sydney Roby. But Lashonda Monk is up. And she was such a big part of what Ole Miss was able to do. Just the pace she brought, the decision-making on distributing the basketball, and her defense in the first half.
Well, especially with Monk coming off those ball screens, that mid-range jumper was really helpful for Ole Miss.
Yeah, it was pretty. She has 9 points so far tonight. So we'll go back and take a look at this last play to see if there was anything extra here where they would want to upgrade this.
the extension of the arm, I think that Roby trying to protect the basketball there.
Put her elbow up?
Put her elbow up. The officials could see that as a little extra. But, I think in Roby as she's playing,
The foul has been upgraded to an intentional foul.
So that's going to be an intentional foul on Sydney Roby, and because they went to the monitor, we will step aside for a few seconds. Ole Miss up on Texas A&M 37-20. They went to the monitor and they did upgrade the foul on Sydney Roby to an intentional foul. There's a phrase in there when talking about the intentional foul: excessive, hard, or unnecessary contact of the opponent, including swinging of the elbow. And look on this last play. She brings her elbow up.
I think by bringing the elbow up, Roby instinctually was trying to protect the basketball, but I do think that the raising of the arm is what the officials saw that as being excessive.
So with an intentional foul, the penalty is 2 free throws, and it can be taken by any member of the offended team, and Ole Miss is going to get the basketball.
That's really tough for Texas A&M, who's trying to come out of this locker room and be aggressive to make a run to get themselves back in this game.
So they will put Lashonda Monk at the free throw line. Monk gets the first one. Make it 2. And then it's like getting a safety in football. You get the points and then you get the ball back.
Yeah, this could be a 4 or 5 point production for Ole Miss.
Shakira Austin in the game with 3 fouls, gets the bounce.
But you see how she attacks to the paint, the middle third of the floor, and that time driving down really with her right hand and finishing with the left.
Makes it an Ole Miss 21-point lead. Shakira Austin, of course, projected to be a top 3 pick in the WNBA draft. Roby trying to save it, can't. And Madison Scott steps out.
You see Shakira Austin get it at the elbow, drives with the right hand, but then finishes with the left. Such a nice touch off the glass.
Austin's got 6 points in this game. She's only played 7 minutes because of that early foul trouble. She picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. Well, things are rocking for Ole Miss. It's frustrating right now for Texas A&M.
I mean, the ball just bounced the Rebels' way right now. Texas A&M just can't seem to have anything go their way.
And they just gave Monk a lane to the basket.
You know when you're feeling good about your game?
You feeling it?
Oh, Lashonda Monk is feeling it right here when she takes this drive off the bounce. She got Kayla Wells right there, a little quick crossover, and then gets all the way to the rack.
Monk's got 13 to lead Ole Miss. Mackenzie Green with the long 2. Aaliyah Patty. She could be so valuable if she could get going for A&M.
Well, you know what A&M did that possession? They went to the offensive glass. And that's the biggest change I have seen out of Texas A&M coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, they had 1 offensive rebound at halftime. They just got twice as many in the last possession. They're going to give this to Ole Miss, and Jordan Nixon checking in the game for Texas A&M.
Yeah, Gary Blair is going to continue to make the rotations until he can find a lineup that is going to execute what he's looking for. He knows what this team is going to need to do in order to get back into this ball game.
Madison Scott to Shakira Austin, who gets herself to the free throw line. 2 shots coming. You know, looking at Shakira Austin's game, we talked about, of course, the Washington Mystics have the first pick in the WNBA draft. She's a Maryland kid. She's from Virginia, played at Maryland. These are her draft grades right here from Rebecca Lobo.
Well, you see the size, A+, upside A+, versatility, A-. I disagree. I think she's got the versatility. And I think that maybe Rebecca gives her the A- because she hasn't demonstrated that she consistently can hit the three-point shot, but she hasn't had to. So I think that that is an area of her game that she has the potential to have the versatility. She's hit a few threes this year. She just hasn't come out and just shot it because she's trying to prove something to somebody. She's playing the style that Coach Yo needs them to play.
And that style of basketball has really helped her grow her game over this last season and a half. Transferred in from Maryland, where she was part of a team that was a 2-time Big Ten regular season champion, averaged 10 points, 8 rebounds a game. But it's been different, her and Coach Yo working together to really feature her in this offense. And as you should, I mean, she was an All-American last season.
Well, when she transferred from Maryland to Ole Miss, she said she had a conversation with Coach Yo about how she wanted to expand her game. She didn't want to be just an on-the-block post player. I wanted to be able to show the diversity of her game. Like, she had a plan and looking what she wanted to do at the next level. You take a look at these 5 draft picks: Alyssa Smith, Ryan Howard, Shakira Austin, Naz Hillman at Michigan, and Alyssa Cunane. I think the first 5 picks, those teams have a lot of great options.
Yeah, Peck, I was talking to Shakira just before their Kentucky game, and she said that she's actually really grown up too this season individually, because under Coach Yo's guidance, that she wasn't just looking to improve as a player, but personally, she's feel like, I just focus on so much on scoring and rebounding, and for me now this year, it's really about this team winning and us succeeding and defying expectations. And it doesn't have to be points and rebounds. It's overall leadership and just helping the team win. And there's where she's grown too as a person.
And unfortunately, she's had to go to the bench with 4 fouls right now in this game.
Well, that's not the leadership that Coach Joe's looking for. She wanted to have her on the floor, but she has become more like the mom of this team. You know, Shakira Austin is a cook.
I have heard over the last 2 days.
I wish I'd have known that before I came to Oxford. I'd have made an arrangement to get a meal.
Destiny Pitts with the bucket for Texas A&M. Ole Miss just taking its time. Lashonda Monk in traffic, turns the ball over. Kayla Wells. 6 points now for Wells. It's been a slow start for the leading scorer for the Aggies.
The focus for Texas A&M has to be getting stops. and stringing together back-to-back stops, but taking it one at a time.
Big game for Texas A&M. Charlie Cream says if they win this game, they are in the NCAA tournament field. Right now, they're part of the first 4 out, but they've got a hill to climb. 5 seconds. Monk pulls up. And Madison Scott just standing there gets the board.
Yeah, A&M, they have got to box out. Not just wait for the ball to come into their hands. They got to go find somebody. When you're behind, you got to do the little things.
Puckett. No panic, and that's several times we have seen Andasia Puckett get the basketball late in the shot clock.
But that time down low in the paint instead of taking the jumper at the top of the key.
Turnover, Texas A&M. Ole Miss looking to make some history if they can get into the big dance. That's coming up.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids, the underdogs. It means constantly improving, striving, hungering. It's no excuses, no days off, or no glory. It's drive.
SEC Network Women's Basketball is presented by Regions, the official bank of the SEC. Well, it's been a minute. In fact, it's been since 2007 since Ole Miss was in the NCAA tournament, and Carol Ross was the head coach. They had made their 4th straight appearance. They lost in the Elite 8 to Tennessee, and Armenti Price at the time, now Armenti Harrington, who is an assistant coach on the current Ole Miss staff, she was a part of that team as a player.
And Ole Miss became so close to making the tournament last year, and so what the resume that they put together this year, and what Armenti Price has started is now carrying over, and having her on the staff, I think in being able to experience what Coach Yo has been able to do to have their team right now, they're dancing. How exciting will that be? Because that hasn't happened in such a long time. You think 2007? Wow.
Yeah. It's been a minute. Right now, Charlie Cream has them as a number 7 seed, but I think it was important, the conversation that we had with Coach Yo yesterday. They can't be focused on, being a ranked team, getting in the tournament. They're just trying to refocus on their defense and not let the picture get too big while still achieving that goal.
Yeah, the thing that she talked about, you can't skip steps. You can't look at, we want to be in the tournament. Right now, you got to take care of business in the regular season, and you've got to take care of business to make sure that you have a good seed in the SEC tournament. That comes first.
And they're showing today, look, no offense wants to face this Ole Miss defense. They have had multiple milestones all season. They're second in the SEC in scoring defense, and they've only allowed Texas A&M 29 points so far tonight. Danetta Johnson finishes.
Coming into last season, Coach Yo talked to C.Y. Young, that's an assistant at Florida State, and he is actually the godfather of one of her kids. And he talked to her about, you've got to have an identity. What's it going to be? And she said, I want it to be on defense. And you look at this. They're second in the SEC in allowed points, 55 per game. They are aggressive. They get in deflections. Their rotation, they're locked in together defensively. And when they have gotten back to that, that's when they've experienced success this season.
Yeah, they've held 9 different opponents to under 50 points in a game. Only given up 29 so far tonight.
Yeah, guys, Coach Yo's never short on good quotes, right? You guys touch on a lot of them, but one thing she said to me was they focus too much on being the hunted, right? Being a ranked team, that they forgot about getting back to hunting themselves. I'm seeing that same energy that we saw earlier in the year where they're really hunting wins tonight against Texas A&M. Coach Beck, is that kind of what you're seeing, Ole Miss?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
the whole thing, Steffi, is a process. So when Coach O first got here, she had to teach her team how to compete. She didn't get the wins right away, right? then the next step is then you get those wins. So then after you get that, the next step is not necessarily going to winning championships, but first you've got to teach your team how to handle success. You're winning. Now how do you deal with that, and how do you stay hungry? Then the next step will be competing for championships. But right now, she's teaching her team. They had a tough lesson, especially losing to Mississippi State. Now they got back hungry again.
And that was their last game. They lost 70-59 to their rival Mississippi State, a team they had beaten earlier in the season.
Kayla Wells is limping again. Something's not right with how Kayla Wells is trying to get down the floor.
Yeah, she's really slow to get down the floor, and her scoring has been very limited tonight. Just 9 points, but she had 1 point in the first half. She's their leading scorer at 17 a game. Offensive foul on Sydney Roby. That's the third on Roby. You know, you were talking about it wasn't just instant. Instant change for Ole Miss. Record first 3 seasons, just 7 wins in the SEC. She's got 6 in the SEC this season alone.
She's about to tie it tonight of the amount of wins she was able to accumulate in the SEC in 3 years.
Donetta Johnson. Rebound by Madison Scott.
Scott has been on the boards battling for Ole Miss.
Yeah, 9 rebounds now for Madison Scott. 8 points. Seven seconds on the shot clock. Oh, Jaya Harris-Smith just threw that shot up.
Things are going well for the Ole Miss Rebel.
Texas A&M turnover number 17. Deanna Kitchens, Caitlin McGee check in for Ole Miss.
Now, Ole Miss patient and getting on the glass. Texas A&M has got to box out.
Yeah, look at the rebounding difference right now. We've talked about it constantly, the offensive rebounds. Ole Miss winning that battle 15 to just 5, but overall it's 33-24 in favor of Ole Miss on the boards.
Well, from the beginning, it has been a concentrated effort of Ole Miss going to the glass. I got to believe Gary Blair addressed that with his team. You talked about only 1 offensive rebound in the first half, and we see coming in this third quarter, they have made more of a concerted effort to go to the glass, but not still as hard as Ole Miss has been going.
Kayla Wells just got herself to the free throw line. Well, what is it about Texas A&M's offense that hasn't been working tonight?
Well, number one, in the first half, they were turning the ball over. Number two, I think that they're playing so structured. And look, when a team like Ole Miss is in your passing lanes and playing as aggressively, haven't seen really any backdoor cuts or opportunities, working together off screens for each other. They're trying to do everything off those ball screen action. They're not getting anything, nothing's working for them from that. Yeah, Kayla Wells has come back for an extra year. She could have left and tried to make it in the WNBA or go on to play professionally. She wanted to come back to really demonstrate that she had more aspects of her game than just three-point shooting.
She scored 10 of her 11 points here in the third quarter. A little more pressure coming from the Aggies on defense. Coach Yo calling timeout.
I think that Texas A&M showing a little fight at the end of the third. It may have been a little bit too little too late, but we'll see. You got a whole fourth quarter to play, but that's where Coach Yo saw, look, the aggression from Texas A&M has started to get turned up. Before it gets out of hand, let me calm my team down and show them an area where they can take care of the basketball. I mean, that's the thing that Ole Miss, look, they're continuing to try to improve their seed in the SEC tournament, possibly improve their seed in the NCAA tournament. So you're in control right now. You don't want to turn the ball over and let Texas A&M build some confidence and get momentum to get back in this ball game.
Yeah, and remember, Ole Miss is doing this, all of this, handling the pressure, taking care of Texas A&M so far tonight with Shakira Austin playing very limited minutes in this game. She has played 9 minutes, and Texas A&M, Ole Miss has the lead that it does.
Yeah, it's a luxury that Ole Miss is being able to have the lead that they do with Shakira Austin in foul trouble, but her fouls were bad fouls. Yep. She's got to make sure, look, that's not going to always be the case, and she's got to do a better job of making the decision of when she's just got to let a bucket go as opposed to picking up that foul.
Janetta Johnson steps out of bounds. It'll be Aggie basketball. Ole Miss not letting up on the pressure either.
Well, I think Coach Yo wants her team not to get complacent, but to continue, like she said, stay hungry.
Shot's no good for Kayla Wells, but she's got an offensive rebounder there in Aaliyah Patty. A&M trying to change up the defenses here, putting that pressure on to see if they can rattle Ole Miss. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Harris Smith in the lane. Nixon pushing. The long three, in and out for Jordan Nixon. Ole Miss with a big lead, but it was an even third quarter. Both teams scoring 17 points in the last 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes to play.
It's not who we are. That is not what has got us to this point right now.
That was halftime of the Vanderbilt game on Sunday. That clip went viral on social media. I think there's a lot of comparisons to Pat Summitt.
Absolutely, because I've been in the locker room when Pat Summitt's given that kind of speech. So I would expect that Tennessee, the Lady Vols, got another similar speech today after dropping the game to Alabama. They've got a couple of days to get ready, because if they're going to Columbia, South Carolina, they better bring some toughness, because South Carolina's playing very well right now.
Yeah, Tennessee lost to Alabama 74-64, and they did that. Alabama didn't have a field goal in the last 8 minutes of the game, and they still won.
Can't wait to go back and watch that one, see what happened.
Guys, I was just in the huddle with Coach Yo at the break, and she was really frustrated trying to get her team's attention as Texas A&M trying to make a run here to start the fourth. She said, "You guys are playing like you're bored with growth." 7 offensive rebounds in that third quarter for Texas A&M as opposed to the 1 that they had in the first half. So the bad fouls, really trying to get their attention. But that was just something interesting that she said, being bored with the growth out on the floor.
And I'll tell you, Steffi, that again is learning how to win, handling success. Yeah, they've got the lead, but if you take that for granted, you relax, you start practicing bad habits, that's going to show up to you at a time that's going to be crucial. If you want to make that next step from good to great, you've got to contain the same mentality of how you got here, not once you get there, then relax.
And part of that, too, Shakira Austin back on the floor for Ole Miss. She cannot pick up her 5th foul here. Let her play through it.
Well, we showed Shakira sitting on the bench as well. She was relaxed a little bit. Well, I think a little clock watching. Well, you need your senior, your star, to set the tone, to bring the intensity, to demonstrate how you want to finish out this ball game.
Last touch by Texas A&M, so it will be Ole Miss basketball. It's been limited minutes for Shakira Austin. Picked up 2 early fouls. Only played 6 minutes in the first half. 3 seconds. Lashonda Monk. Little shake, little bait.
That's an old school fake. Now you see it, now you don't.
Yeah. Jordan Nixon, the step back for 2. Ole Miss' largest lead tonight has been 23. There's still plenty of time for the Aggies.
Yeah, they're chipping away just one bucket at a time. They can make this fourth quarter very interesting.
Need a stop here. And the clock has stopped inside the arena. They count that bucket by Madison Scott, but the clock stopped inside the arena. So the officials can go to the monitor, obviously, and look to make sure they get the clock right, but the clock froze.
Okay, we had a timing malfunction.
Yeah, still frozen at 8:08 as play continues on, so they can go back to the monitor, and they're doing this right now to correct the clock. No matter the time of the clock, this bucket should count, obviously, for Ole Miss.
Do you not go back to where the clock malfunction?
I think they would count it manually.
Now, there was also a foul call, right?
Yeah, after the bucket was
After
made,
the bucket
and they
was
counted
made.
the bucket.
Gotcha.
Yes. So as they're looking at this, we'll give you one more look. It was very clear the clock stopped. It froze at 8:08 and time moved on. Around 13 seconds may have tipped off, just roughly counting.
Right. That was, and Gary Blair saw it stop, so as the play was going on, he was making his way down to center court, trying to let the officials know that the clock had stopped. So I know Gary Blair doesn't want that bucket to count, and he doesn't want that foul to count either.
Well, sure, his team is showing some life here. They only scored 7 points in the second quarter, but they were even with Ole Miss in that third quarter, each scoring 17 apiece. Trying to work their way back into this game after trailing by 23 in the third quarter.
Look, 14 points is striking distance, especially when you have 4 players on your team that shoot over 36% from the three-point line. Kayla Wells came into this game shooting 50% from 3. You've got Jordan Nixon that can shoot it. Destiny Pitts that can shoot the ball. Q Hoppy is a threat from the perimeter that could get Texas A&M right back into this ball game.
Yeah, and Hoppy hasn't made a field goal today.
She's due.
She is due. Only 2 points, both of those coming from the free throw line. They're still looking at the clock issue as it froze during the last possession. It's an important game for both of these teams. Texas A&M, Charlie Cream says, with a win would put them in the tournament field. They're in the first 4 out right now.
Okay, the clock malfunction, so we're going to 7:53, and it is a shot clock violation.
Oh, so it's going to be a shot clock violation that will wave the bucket off? So we'll step aside for just a moment and have a better explanation for you on the other side.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids, the underdogs. It means constantly improving, striving, hungering. It's no excuses, no days off, or no glory. It's drive.
Pioneer Taylor Stokes was the first African-American football player to earn a scholarship at Vanderbilt University. Although he started at wide receiver, Stokes flourished as a kicker, earning a varsity letter in 1971. After leaving school due to the death of his father, Stokes returned 40 years later to earn his degree. SEC Network honors Taylor Stokes' impact on college football and at Vanderbilt University.
There was a clock malfunction. They went back to the monitor to review the play. They have waved off the bucket that was scored and waved off the foul that was called on that shooter because they say there was a shot clock violation on Ole Miss.
And it's close when you watch the clock stops at 8:08. And then with the timing of it, to conclude that 14 seconds went off the clock. Therefore, if it was a shot clock violation, this shot doesn't count, nor the foul that was called. So now it is a shot clock violation. It is now Texas A&M's basketball.
It's tough if you're a player too, because you're not sitting there watching the clock knowing that it's stuck.
Right. That's a responsibility of the officials to have a recognition of if there is a clock malfunction, to stop the play immediately when they recognize it. And they did not recognize it until after the shot and the foul was called.
But they were able to go to the monitor, review the play, and change the call. So now 7:53 is left on the clock. Ole Miss up 54-42.
And Gary Blair standing right here in front of us, and he said, you know, sometimes, I'll just say that he says when you bring it to their attention, it helps. And right now, Texas A&M, they have cut this to a 10-point deficit.
They're not trying to force things.
Well, and taking care of the basketball as well. You know, they can be patient right now. What they don't need to do is to foul. And they can't give up layups. They've got to force Ole Miss to take and jump shots, but that's a heads-up play by Mimi Reed.
Mimi Reed, a veteran, only averages 3.4 points per game, but an integral part of Ole Miss's team. She's got 6 tonight. Destiny Pitts. It's a tough shot because of Scott. Collins no good. Kayla Wells, the effort to grab that rebound.
Got to battle on the glass, create more possessions for your team, but you can't turn the ball over.
And Lashonda Monk just takes it away from Texas A&M. Kwadasha Hoppy just picked up her 3rd foul for A&M.
And look, A&M doesn't need to panic. 6 minutes is plenty of time when you're down 12.
So they fixed the shot clock to 22 seconds. And Sydney Roby comes in for Hoppy.
So with size, Hoppy and Patty in to get on the glass. If they can force Ole Miss into a bad shot, got some size in order to get on the glass.
They go inside to Madison Scott. And Monk takes it back. Scrappy defender.
That's why she was two-time AAC Defensive Player of the Year. Just smart, recognizing, waiting for you to make a mistake or leave yourself vulnerable, and she's right there to snatch it away.
She's 7th in the SEC in steals per game. Kayla Wells. Shakira Austin, the problem is Texas A&M has got to get a stop.
Yeah, you can't let Shakira Austin catch the ball in the middle of the floor. She's got too many options. You've got to at least force her back door, have to do something. But a catch so she can rip and go, that can't happen.
10 points for Austin. They call Monk on the foul.
You watch Shakira Austin, we talk about her working in the middle third of the floor. She catches it up top. Nobody matches up with her. And then she's got guard skills, 6'5", able a little in and out, hesitation, going for the finish.
Jordan Nixon for two, no. And Shakira Austin, all by her lonesome. The defensive mindset is back for Ole Miss.
Absolutely. They have gone back to the nitty-gritty, really getting down and working defensively.
And it was the conversation after their last loss to Mississippi State. That is the 5th foul, though, on Shakira Austin. So Austin will lead this game 12 points, 3 rebounds. Only 15 minutes tonight. But I think the best sign for this Ole Miss team is how her teammates stepped up around her when she was in foul trouble.
Well, and Ole Miss was able to hold on to a lead, but now the momentum is starting to shift for Texas A&M, and now you don't have the luxury of having, well, if things start going awry, I can go Shakira Austin again. She's out of the game, so now can Ole Miss go the distance the rest of the way to protect home court and keep Texas A&M at bay?
This is Nixon at the free throw line. Texas A&M has not led tonight.
You know, the thing that Ole Miss has to do is they got to take care of the basketball. They got to milk the clock. What Texas A&M needs to do is they've got to get on the glass. They've got to be aggressive, looking for the best shot they can get as early as they can get, and then they got to crash the offensive boards.
Well, right there, Texas A&M is going to foul and put Madison Scott at the free throw line.
I mean, that's not a bad gamble. Look, Ole Miss, they shoot 67% from the free throw line. So you extend the game, lengthen the game. If you've got the players, you got fouls to give, you gamble a little bit. That Ole Miss isn't going to make their free throws. You can rebound it and possibly get out, score in transition.
Yeah, they're 10th in the SEC in free throw percentage. Mackenzie Green running things for Texas A&M. Destiny Pitts sinks it, gets her up to 7 points.
Pitts is a sniper because if she can see the basket, That's your best option of scoring from the perimeter.
Madison Scott gets her shot tipped. Misses the layup on the first try.
Now, Pitts just hit the last shot. Be patient. Find her again. Go to the hot hand.
The foul was called on Mimi Reed. It was MJ Johnson who was trying to make the move down low for Texas A&M.
There was a little extracurricular too. Destiny Pitts got pushed too. You watch at the end of the play, Donetta Johnson got a little shove in at the end. Mimi Reed thought that she was able to draw the charge. The officials didn't call that. They called that as a foul, but they're going to the monitor to see if Donetta Johnson and Destiny Pitts, there was an extension of the arm, and I think that may have been seen as excessive from Ole Miss.
I'm taking a look at this right now at the monitor.
You watch away from the basketball. Donetta Johnson, number 3, after it's over, she gave a shove to Destiny Pitts.
Intentional foul?
I do. I think that's an intentional foul.
We've already seen one intentional foul in this game. That was upgraded on Sydney Roby.
And that was even a little, I think the Donetta Johnson, the push, so after the play was dead, Sydney Roby was in the play of action. This was after the play was called. Donetta Johnson, she looked to have extended.
Again, an intentional foul. It's not a legitimate attempt to make a direct play on the ball, contact to negate an opponent's advantageous position, or excessive hard or unnecessary contact of an opponent, including swinging an elbow.
Okay, so we have double intentional fouls on black number 3 and on white number 3.
So that would be on Donetta Johnson of Ole Miss and Destiny Pitts of Texas A&M. They both will get an intentional foul, which will count towards their personal foul count. So Caroline just got an explanation from the official, a little bit deeper than what we heard.
So a personal foul was called, and then there was an intentional foul that was called on number 3 Ole Miss and number 3 Texas A&M. It was between Destiny Pitts and Donetta Johnson, and it was the case of they found the initial push and then the retaliation. So those two cancel each other out. So it'll go back to the point of interruption, and that is to be the shooters of the free throws.
Yeah, on the original personal foul called.
Correct.
Before they went to the monitor and saw the 2 intentional fouls.
Correct.
So this will be MJ Johnson at the free throw line for Texas A&M. Again, those 2 intentional fouls cancel each other out. So they won't shoot for either. We haven't had an intentional foul all season. We've had 3 in this game. You heard the crowd chanting Chick-fil-A. I'm going to assume they get Chick-fil-A if an opponent misses 2 free throws in the second half or in the fourth quarter. You still working the clock if you're Ole Miss?
Yeah, you want to take care of the ball and working the clock. Now, if you get an easy shot, easy layup, you got to take it. But you want to make sure that you take a good shot so that you put yourself in the position to get a rebound.
Mimi Reed, you like that one?
I like that shot. Patience down to 7 seconds in the shot clock. Good execution by Ole Miss.
Mimi Reed hits her second long ball of the night.
And now Texas A&M, they can't take a lot of time. They need to try to score quick. If you watch, the shot clock is running down, and Ole Miss causes Texas A&M to rotate in, and Mimi Reed, she spaced out. She stayed there as an outlet, and so there was time. 7, 6, counting down on the shot clock, and she's able to knock it down.
Mimi Reed making the smart choice here to pull that ball back out. Aaliyah Patty was whistled for the foul. It was Madison Scott driving in.
Well, that's what Ole Miss is looking for. If you're going to take a shot that's early in the shot clock, you better get to, or you better get yourself to the free throw line.
Madison Scott to line, shooting 2.
Now, that's not a bad foul as long as Madison Scott doesn't miss this and Ole Miss get the offensive rebound. Now, that's bad.
Yeah. It's Caitlin McGee crashing the offensive glass and getting those 2 points for Ole Miss.
It just drives the coach crazy. When you have inside position to box out and you let the team on the line get the offensive rebound.
And then you turn it over and give them a layup. And Gary Blair is going to call timeout as Ole Miss has re-extended the lead to 20 points.
Texas A&M had started to creep back in. With the pressure, they were turning things over, but even with Shakira Austin being out of the game, Ole Miss was able to maintain composure. And you have other players. Ole Miss is demonstrating this is not just the Shakira Austin show. They have a balanced attack. You know, Mimi Reed hit the 3. Madison Scott is getting all over the boards on the glass. They're like, you know what, Super Senior? Have a seat. We got your back while you out of the game.
Can we have a little moment for Monk? Lashonda Monk, 17 points. Remember, she led Ole Miss in the first win against Texas A&M, and she's leading them tonight with 17.
Monk needed to get back on track. She'd only been in double digits once since that South Carolina game. She came in very focused and ready to attack. She's got a beautiful mid-range shot, and she was really done a nice job off ball screens for Ole Miss. That's been key. That's been key to have her have the competitiveness. Look, when Coach Joe talked about this team needing to get back on track, Lashonda Monk was the biggest one that needed to, and she has demonstrated that today.
You know, there was a player for Arkansas, Malika Monk, and Tamika Catchings and I, we used to say when she took over, it was a little monkitude out there, like an attitude, but she got a monkitude. I think it could work for Lashonda.
I like the monkitude.
Yeah.
Definitely need to probably carry that over. Might use that in Nashville at the SEC tournament.
Yeah, if she brings it, get a little monkitude
She's
out
got
there.
to bring it now.
And she's got a very full stat line, 17.7 rebounds, 5 assists.
And the defense.
Yes.
The defense is the biggest thing that Monk has brought today.
4 steals to go along with that stat line.
You know, we came to shoot around this morning, and Texas A&M, they went from 12 to 1. Ole Miss wasn't starting practice until 3. Well, players were out here at about 1:30 already before Coach Yo even got to the arena.
And there was a good vibe in the arena. I mean, they were loose. You can tell this group really likes each other, too.
Well, and they weren't just playing around. I mean, they were competing. They were competing of who's going to make the 3, the distance from the shot. They were engaged when they were here before the official shoot-around practice even started.
How much do you think what we've seen tonight from Ole Miss has to do with their coach having that two-way street with them, talking about their last game, saying, hey, you know what? That's on me, that last game. Let's have an open conversation about it.
Had everything to do with it. We talked about how she got trolled after the Mississippi State game. They showed her press conference after the first time they beat Mississippi State. And she said, you know what? That's on me. I shouldn't have done that. And she said, but the thing that she likes about being here at Ole Miss is they allow her to grow. She made some mistakes. She owns them and then demonstrates to her team, like, I'm not going to repeat the same mistake. And if I can own it and accountability, responsibility, then she can expect the same thing from her players.
And that's kind of going back to what's gotten them to have the success this year that they have had. 6-5 in SEC play. And it looks like they're going to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2007. Charlie Cream, again, has them as a 7 seed right now in the tournament.
Well, they've got some good wins. They've also had a challenging schedule for the most part. They're 4-4 against top 50 net-rated teams.
And Texas A&M, another win would be another one of those because they're 42 in the net. For Texas A&M, we were able to reach out to Charlie Cream during this game. We asked, if this loss would knock them out for good out of the NCAA tournament. He said, not for good. There's so many. Remember, there's 4 extra teams getting in the tournament this year.
That's right.
Because the field has expanded to 68.
Yes, and so that's a great opportunity, and it's an opportunity for Texas A&M to make a run in the SEC tournament as well. They can finish strong for the remainder of this season, and then in the SEC tournament, if they could get themselves, I think, to the semifinals, finals, they got a good shot.
A&M's remaining schedule, though, Alabama, who just upset Tennessee tonight, South Carolina a week from tonight, and then at Georgia to finish the regular season.
Well, it's an opportunity.
Yes.
That's the thing, is to playing against some stiff competition. They have a net rating of 42, so they can improve that and get some key wins down the stretch.
4 seconds here for the Rebels. Madison Scott just being relentless on the offensive glass. Foul called on Patty.
Madison Scott has had a night. She's got 11 points, 14 rebounds on the night.
A little double-double for Madison Scott. It was fun to watch Coach Yo coach her yesterday in practice. She said she's one of the nicest kids.
Well, remember, Madison Scott had 15 rebounds against LSU. She's got that bounce. She's got that energy you love to have in a player.
9th career double-double for Madison Scott tonight. 13 points, 14 boards. Ole Miss with the regular season series sweep of Texas A&M.